Wow, those are preschool kids? How does she get her kids to do that? What is her secret? You're going to be getting all kinds of compliments like these from visitors to your classroom after you use this strategy for seating at the carpet. People are going to be very impressed. So let's get right into it. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create smooth like butter transitions from your students on the carpet or wherever you have circle time to wherever you're having them go. We used to have a reader from the public library that came, and he was always so impressed when my kids could transition from our circle time spots to our read aloud spots in like 5 seconds with no noise. It never gets old watching your students rock a transition like that. And you're gonna love how simple this one is. Plus, I'm gonna model exactly what you should say when you introduce your kids to this new way of doing things. So you'll be confident that you can teach them this new routine in the first few days of school. So I have done these carpet spots in a few different ways, and I'll share a little more about that so you know that you have options. We're about to take a walk down memory lane with some photos from my classroom that show all the different ways that I've done these carpet spots in the past. I hope that these photos help you visualize what I'm talking about as I explain these spots, and then I'll model for you how to introduce it to your kids. So each kid in your class is gonna have 3 different spots on the carpet. Don't let that overwhelm you. I promise these spots are gonna make everything flow so nicely. So let me give you the overview and then we'll dive into each spot and how to set them up. So there will be circle time spots, read aloud spots, and movement spots. Circle time spots are where the kids sit when you're having circle time, pretty self-explanatory. Read aloud spots are where they sit when you're gonna read a story. And then the last one, movement spots, is where they will all be spread out enough to do movement right there in the classroom. This is so important in those early days because you gotta let them get those wiggles out. And you can't waste 10 minutes getting movement set up. This way you can let them transition in 5 seconds, do a few songs, and get back to the lesson. I'm gonna show you some of the ways that I've done the spots on the carpet before. I really love to use Sit Spots, which is a company that makes these durable shapes, and they come in all different colors. And the one side is the rough side of VELCRO, so it sticks beautifully to any classroom carpet. And they stick so well that maintenance people can vacuum right over them. So I love Sit Spots, but since the kids are coming any day now, you might not have time to order them. So I'm gonna show you how to make your own today. And I've done them both ways. So here's a photo where you can clearly see the read aloud spots, which are in the middle. That's where we sit when I'm gonna read a story. And then the green spots are around this edge, the circle time spots. They're a little hard to see, but they are there. And then the movement spots are spread out, so you can't really see them very clearly in this picture, but I'll get you some more examples. And then when we zoom in on that carpeting, you can see that those were the blue sit spots I ordered from the Sit Spot company, and I chose different shapes. It looks like there's a Lego too. But here's, okay, let's see. Here's another view of the blue ones that I picked. And then I attached their photo right next to them so that each child knew which spot was theirs. I did hearts, stars that kind of look like suns, and smiley faces this year just randomly because I wanted to convey a strong mood when we were at the carpet. I wanted hearts so that they felt loved. I wanted stars or sunshine because they were bright and they were superstars. And then I wanted smiley faces to remind all of us to smile more. So that's totally random. That's what I picked there. And another view of those right here, you can see again the blue shapes. And you can certainly choose something more academic like shapes, or you can do triangles, circles, squares, so that you can use that to review every single day. But let's go back to the beginning when, okay, let's see, right here. This is my first year using the Sit Spots. And oh my God, this was such a tiny classroom. I actually had to convert the staff lounge. Like there was a pop machine in there and I had to turn it into a classroom. It was so intense, but I made it work. And the sit spots helped so much. So I started out with the stars for the circle time spots, and I just used their photos for their read aloud spots, which you can see here. I can't even tell you how tiny this room was. There were no windows. It was crazy. You can see here how we're kind of on top of each other. And maybe that's what forced me to learn how to create such a calm space. Having such a tiny classroom made me into a calm classroom teacher because there is no other option. If things got loud or crazy in that tiny space, you would lose your mind. It was overwhelming for me, and I know it would have been too much for the kids. So we kept things super calm and peaceful in there. But that does not mean that we didn't do movement. We got to dance and do yoga and do all of those things because of this system. It's just going to be great. So if you have a small space, you're going to love how this still allows you to do all the things because the system is so effective. And then let's see the next one. This photo right here shows the kids are sitting on their stars, which are the circle time spots. And then their read aloud spots are in the middle, but it's actually just their photo, a small little cutout of their photo. And you can see that creates a much less obvious sort of statement with the spots. So if you want yours to be, more subtle, you don't have to do the big spots, the big sit spots. You can just do their photo and it's perfectly just as effective. So then at the end of the year, I had a bunch of those stars left and they were still in good shape. And I decided to reuse them the next year by just cutting them up. So the next year, this year I had the stars, and then the next year I cut those pieces up and made them just marks on the floor where kids got to do the movement positions. So here you can see like there's a little piece down here and a little piece here, and kids knew that was their movement spot. Because they stick so well. The sit spots, the best thing about them is that they stick so well. I'm going to show you how to make your own sit spots in just a second.
If you don't have pictures of your kids yet, you can just make them using the kids' names and add the photos later. So you'll just use a piece of cardstock and write their names and laminate it.
Here they are coming out of the laminator. I just used scrap paper, photos of my kids, made up names. The white ones will be their circle time spots. The green ones will be their movement spots, and the blue will be their read aloud spots. I recommend using these pouches because it seals really well.
I just took the pictures that I have of my kids, added a name, and laminated them. So these are all my kids with different random names. Super simple.
Or you can use the strips of Velcro. But the more coverage that you can get on the back, the better, because the better it'll stick. If you put a big piece on there or several dots, that's the way to go. You don't want them peeling up. So you especially want to make sure you get each of the edges covered so that they stick down well. You don't want them peeling up all the time, and that's why sit spots are so great, because the edges don't peel if they've been walked on a bunch, like they would if you just put one single Velcro dot on the back of the picture. So I suggest that you fill up as much space on the back as you can to create the strongest hold to the carpet, just to avoid all the peeling problems. Okay, so here's another view for you. I'm putting you here at the front so that this is not done to scale, but everything would be a lot more spread out. But I just wanted to give you a little kind of map view to bring it home for you. So the white spots are the circle time spots. This is where kids will sit during circle time. Then there's the blue spots in the middle, which I did not do a great job on. I'm terrible at free drawing shapes, but I just wanted to remind you that you can do shapes if you want, and then you can review them all the time because they're right there. And now let's bring it all together by talking about the movement spots real quick. And I kind of tricked you when I said every kid has 3 spots. I mean, like I didn't purposefully trick you, but you can make it easier by making some kids' movement spots the same ones that they have for circle time. Basically, I recommend moving every other kid as a general rule, pulling them back or moving them up, and leaving every other kid where they are. The less kids moving, the easier it is. And I will show you how to introduce this. I hope that makes sense. So here you can see that I have Sam is in his spot, and then Birdie will have a different movement spot. So she'll know she goes back when it's time for movement. And then Will is here, stays there for movement. June will go back, just spreading out a little bit extra for movement time. This kid stays, this kid goes back a little bit, stays, goes back. Just some kind of pattern like that. But just remember, this will be different based on your classroom setup. So make use of the space you have, and I am here to help. So if you have questions, ask away. And last thing, I know this isn't on carpet, and I don't have a big carpet like most classrooms do. However, if your room has tile or some hardwood floor or hard flooring at the circle time area, you can still do this system. You'll just adhere them differently. And you're gonna think I'm crazy, but after years of doing this, my recommendation, if you have hard floors, would be to put down painter's tape and then hot glue the laminated pictures or names right onto the tape. That way your floor is protected, but the hot glue will create a good strong hold. I'm going to show you how to introduce it so that you phrase things right and you set the kids up for success, but you just don't want them peeling at them all the time. Make sure to stay tuned for the next video because I'm going to be modeling it for you, letting you see exactly how I talk to my kids so you know what to say. But that's definitely my recommendation because tape, no matter what, is very tempting to peel. And it just becomes a constant project. Repairing spots, and it gets dirty, the edges start to peel, and they gather dirt. It's just frustrating. So I would definitely recommend going with painter's tape and hot glue. And quite frankly, if you're surprised by that suggestion, you need to spend more time with hot glue. I had my hot glue gun plugged in like all day because I constantly found ways to use it. Hot gluing things to walls with painter's tape in between, it sticks so good. You can use a strip of painter's tape and then hang clothespins to display work. You can even hang things on brick with hot glue. Oh man, I might need to do a video on the ways to use hot glue in a classroom. I still use it all the time at home. I put paint tape on the floor and hot glue our rugs so our 5 dogs can run without them sliding all over the place. But anyway, I hope this was all helpful. Leave me a comment if you have any questions, and make sure to check out the next video where I will model exactly what you need to say to your kids to introduce this whole system and make it flow so perfectly.